attention.
This is 3D or 2D.com's Duh 3D Show.
Put on your 3D glasses now.
If you're wondering what the 3D stand for, they are discussion, debate, and the news. We hope that you enjoy the show. Get it? The show?
Duh.
Hello. Welcome to a new episode of The 3D Show, episode 78. I am Adolph Jake, and today I have with me
Jake Jarvis.
And James is not available for this podcast, so it's just going to be us two. But we got a ton to talk about, so let's get started with the newest thing, which is a second trailer to Shazam. What are your thoughts on this trailer?
Wow. This trailer does what a trailer is supposed to do. Make you want to get your butt in the seat of the theater and scream, "Bring me the movie."
Yeah, it's just so much fun.
This really captured the whole sense of when I was a little kid and they revived Shazam with the original artist C.C. Beck. This just captures the magic of those first 10 issues. After that, they brought back some of the other artists, and most of them were working for DC at the time, but that trailer just captured the magic. It wasn't 100%. I mean, they've given Dr. superpowers, but hey, Mark Strong is perfect casting as the evil doctor. I mean, he's perfect.
So yeah, we didn't get that much of the plot more in this. We kind of just got more of Billy being playful and Captain Marvel, and getting the beer, and then actually playing with the superpowers and getting the hang of things, or not really getting the hang of things.
Yeah, it's big with a superhero,
which is exactly what the comic was about, which is awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this looks fun. It looks like a great kind of thing, especially for families. I think a lot of superhero movies have been rated PG-13 and just kind of stay there. This might actually be like PG and something that the whole family can watch, and you don't need to know anything prior to this, and just enjoy it for what it is. And I think this could be a really big hit, and I look forward to it. It looks fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does. It looks awesome. It looks like they've finally cracked the code with this. Yeah. A lot of people don't know this, but Shazam, aka Captain Marvel, was the very first comic book superhero to come to the big screen.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, back in 1941, The Adventures of Captain Marvel by Republic. Western star Tom Tyler played the good captain, the big red cheese. And, and it was a big hit.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well worth checking out if you're a serial fan of superhero. Yeah, it's not very faithful, to the comic book, but it is a fun serial.
So, yeah, Shazam comes out April 5th of this year. So, a month from now, it's about ready to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And Zachary Levi is just wonderful in this. He's just so charming, so likable.
Mm-hmm.
How can you not like him?
I mean, he was Flynn Rider in Tangled, one of kind of Disney's forgotten 3D animated movies. It kind of got it's one of those movies that kind of got forgotten about after Frozen became such a cultural phenomenon. And of course, a lot of geeks remember him from his NBC TV show Chuck.
So yeah, this looks a lot of fun. It looks like it's going to be a good lighter adventure. You don't have anything. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the universe. It's not life and death. It's just him trying to figure out how to be a superhero and having fun with it. And like I love the look of it. Like, he uses his super speed, and it doesn't look like super speed that I have used to. It just kind of looks like flashy, but not exactly like Flash. I don't know how to describe it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Hmm. Yeah, he looks like he's got the basic powers of Superman without the X-ray vision, heat vision. Pretty much. Yeah, it's looking like they're smartly sticking pretty close to the comics.
The wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the great courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury.
Yeah, the power set. Technically, Shazam is as powerful as Superman, if not a little better. But he is not. He's still a 15-year-old kid, and he's not disciplined like Superman is. So that's where you get the conflict, I guess. That's why he can't always win because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah. So much the wisdom of Solomon can only go so far in a 15-year-old kid.
All the different gods. That's going to be fun how to describe that in the movie.
They're probably going to call them elders like they did in the comics later to not offend.
It's kind of weird because like those different gods, they kind of overlap with like Wonder Woman, and they just never really gotten around to talking about why Wonder Woman would not know who they are or anything.
Well, the thing is, Shazam, and God, it's weird calling him Shazam, didn't interact with the rest of the DCU until the 90s. And the first place I remember seeing him is really interacting with the rest of the DC universe was when Keith Giffen put him in Justice League International. And the less said what was done to Mary Marvel, the better. I mean, it was some of the most misogynistic garbage DC ever did, and they should be ashamed of themselves for publishing it.
So let's go from something positive to something negative. We got a second trailer to Dark Phoenix, and
this will be the spoiler-free discussion.
So yeah, we're gonna split this conversation up in half. This first half right now, we're gonna talk about it without any spoilers, because unlike the actual, trailer, and unlike many other publications, we actually have respect for our audience and not going to spoil the entire movie months before it comes out. So we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt and, listen to this. And if you want some spoilers, we will have that spoilerific part after the credits. I think that's a very fair way of doing it. So I don't think either one of us were super looking forward to Dr. Phoenix, just to be honest, beforehand.
Yeah. I haven't been impressed with any of the trailers. And this newest one just was like, oh God, I feel like I was watching, it's almost 2020. I guess it's time to have 2000, Y2K nostalgia, but damn, this looks like we're getting X3, The Last Stand, remade. Not the Dark Phoenix storyline, we're getting X3. Oh, God help us all.
I always thought in the comics they made, Jean Grey into the Phoenix and let that be for a while, and then eventually becomes Dark Phoenix. They don't do it one after another like that. It's she has the ability to become Phoenix for a while before she becomes the Dark Phoenix. Am I correct or no?
Yeah. I mean, this is considered Chris Claremont's best story. A lot of people consider it the best X-Men story of all time. And X3 trashed it. Basically, it's like this. I've always described Last Stand, X3 as being kind of what the CW did to the Flashpoint storyline. They just on the cheap hit a few basic themes and then throw out everything that's of interest.
So, in this trailer, you see Dark Phoenix not sure how to use her powers, Jean Grey, and, you see some discussion on the group and what to do about her, and action scene, epic. And, it doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. It's, X-Men movies have a real, totally, love it or hate it kind of relationship with them. I really feel like there's just not consistent at all. The first X-Men movie was, okay, that was better than I thought it was going to be. Second one, okay, that was great. Third one, awful. X-Men, and then it just go up and down. And I don't hate Apocalypse like everyone else does. I think it's a bad movie, but not a terrible movie, What are your thoughts of Apocalypse? Just talk about that real quick.
It was okay, but it was a disappointment after we had two great X-Men movies in a row.
Yeah.
First Class, Days of Future Past, I was like, oh hell yeah! And then Apocalypse was like, oh god. Disappointment. I was not heartbroken, but I was like, God, I felt like I was watching X2, X3 again,
Yeah. So, it's just one of those things where, you see this trailer and you're like, okay, I don't really want to see this movie. And, I guess it's good that this will be the last one, because after this, I don't think I care anymore. And, I guess the MCU is going to
stick a stake in it, drive a stake through its heart, make sure it's dead.
It's a shame. It's a shame, I think.
Yeah, and what makes me angry about them doing the Phoenix storyline, they're going to F it up again, just like they did in Last Stand, and now Marvel aren't... I mean, when are they going to touch this storyline again? They're going to taint it. I mean, we may never see Kevin Feige do a proper version of the whole Phoenix story.
Yeah, I mean, people still have a bad taste in their mouth from X3, and it's sad because the characters here I really like this version of Mystique. I really like Jennifer Lawrence, James McAvoy is a great Professor X.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Fassbender is an amazing Magneto. And so, if anything, those two people, McAvoy and Fassbender, were kind of saved Apocalypse from being total trash, because they're good actors. They're good, know how to make it work. And it's sad that this is going to be their last X-Men movie, because it's not... I've heard rumblings. First rumble is that, the reason that got delayed was because they had early screening, and an early screening went bad. So they're like, all right, let's rechange this. So they had a second screening, which is the newest one, and people were laughing out loud at a emotional, dramatic scene. And it looks like Fox doesn't care anymore. Just like, all right, just get this out, move on, because they can't delay it again. And when people are laughing at a dramatic scene in the test screenings, that is a bad omen.
Oh, and the fact that this third trailer I've seen for this movie, this is the first one they even bothered to stick. It's going to be in 3D. So I'm like, okay. So did they just neglect putting that this was going to be in 3D? Or is this one of those last minute cash grab conversions?
Which is sad because the other ones have been in great 3D.
Yeah, exactly. That was, I said, the 3D, I mean, Apocalypse, I gave it an extra point in my personal score just because the 3D was worth it.
And it just it's sad,
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't look good. It looks overly epic. It's just epic for the epic's sake. So it just kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just we're in 2000s nostalgia already. God, I guess I'm getting old.
Yeah. All right. So we will continue this conversation in
After the credits.
After the credits. So let's continue on. Let's talk about Frozen 2 got a teaser trailer, and it is literally that, a teaser, because you have no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just see Ilsa trying to run over the ocean, pretty much.
And you see them being attacked in the woods, the whole family, and it's just like, okay, what's going on here? I think, is it also maybe going into the ocean and just running toward the ocean to try to find her parents? And if that is the case, I don't want that story because I don't really care.
This looked dark and gritty like a superhero movie, and I'm going, Frozen was this charming musical with a story that had a little more depth than some of these movies do. And it had some great voice acting, and nothing I liked about the first Frozen movie was represented in this trailer. It felt more like a trailer for Brave.
So, what do you like the idea of maybe trying to find out what happened to the parents, or you don't care?
I that's something that they should discuss a little bit. But I'm sitting here looking at this trailer. I didn't get that they were looking for the parents. It just looked like she's just running over the. I was wondering, is she stranded somewhere?
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. It's a teaser, but it didn't intrigue me enough or curious. It just made me feel like, oh God, is this going to be? It just looked like it was going to be dark and miserable, not light and fluffy. And they should have had a song.
So, the first Frozen teaser trailer was a very bad representation of what it was going to be in the movie anyway. This was like with Olaf and the reindeer, and they're like trying to get the nose of Olaf, and the reindeer scooches on its butt, which I don't think is funny. I guess it's like a serious worm medical issue with animals. It's not, but like it's become a comedic thing that it's funny to see animals scooch on their butts, but whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Uh-huh. And then I'm wondering, okay, I remember going to see Coco and seeing this horrible Olaf short.
Oh, yeah.
The 3D was good, but that short, which should have been shorter, but my problem with it is it was probably about 5 minutes too long.
Oh, yeah.
And then when I took some friends to go see Coco, they were blessed. They had already pulled the short.
Oh, yeah. Olaf's Adventure. Yeah, I actually did a review for that. And it was just so long. The kids in the audience were like telling their moms, when is the Coco going to start? I'm tired of this. And when the kids are complaining, that's when you know you've had a failure.
Yeah, there was. I got the back of my head hit by candy a couple of times. The kids are bored.
Yeah, Frozen 2. Again, I don't see the necessary need for this. Disney making sequels because they want to make sequels, not because they have a real story issue.
Personally, I would rather see a sequel to Tangled, but that's just me. I really, but But I understand why they're going Frozen, because it's like one of the most wildly popular movies they've made in a long time. Too bad they couldn't be bothered to put out a 3D version in the U.S. market.
So let's keep going from one icy trailer to another. Angry Birds 2 came out of nowhere. There's a second Angry Birds movie, and I had no idea this was going to happen until the trailer came out, and then I saw it the same day I watched, How You Train Your Dragon Into the Hidden World, and I was like, really? I don't remember hearing any word about Angry Birds 2 movie trailer, and this trailer is just completely forgettable and has like this purple bird that is attacking, sending ice to the other birds and the pigs, and it's just like, what is going on? There's like a seal and like a frozen dog, and this just really seems unnecessary to me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, is anybody still playing Angry Birds on their phone?
I know, right?
They might as well make a Plants vs. Zombie movie.
I like Plants vs. Zombies, though. It's a good game. But, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Or Zombie Farm.
So this is... I know what you're saying, that it's like a, reference to an older game that people have kind of moved on from, The question is, why they're making this, and obvious answer is because they can make money off of it and make merchandising and add levels to the game, from the movie. And that's just completely a cynical, consumeristic idea, Now, I actually liked the first Angry Birds movie. What about you?
It wasn't as a delightful surprise like the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but it wasn't a cynical cash grab like the Emoji Movie. There was actually a story there and a point.
Yeah, so when I went to review this, I was like, all right, me and James are ripping this movie apart before it came out, and I was like, all right, I'm going to go to the free screening, I'm going to be the open-minded, and it's probably going to be a 4 out of 10 or 3 out of 10 movie, and then I walked out, I was like, this is actually kind of good. For what it was, I liked it. The parts that were funny, parts that were clever, I gave it a 7, and I think that's being nice and generous, but 7 when I was expecting a 3 or 4, it's a pretty nice difference. This looks exactly like all the fears I had for the first movie, where just a cash grab, no story, it's just stupid,
Yeah.
And this will probably make, they'll probably make this movie for like 30-40 million and make 300 million and 500 million on merch, and it'll be a huge success,
Yeah. And then we're flipping a coin who's reviewing the next 5 of these.
Oh, I can't wait until we get to see the Tetris trailer. That's gonna be like, how the hell are they gonna do that?
Oh god, yeah.
You know about Tetris movie, right?
No. Oh god, really?
I'm dead serious. They got. I don't know when the trailer's gonna hit or when it's gonna happen, but they announced a Tetris movie. But I mean, I don't know how you do that.
Oh god.
What is Tetris? Just in case people out there don't know what that is for some reason.
It's a falling block game.
Made by Russians.
Yeah.
And you can't win.
Yeah. Sooner or later, it goes too fast for you to do it.
So it's like, I don't know how you do a story about that. I think they made documentaries on that, and those have been interesting. I think I've seen pieces of those, but like...
I think it would be easier to do a Rubik's Cube movie than it would to do a Tetris movie.
Well, I think they're making that as well, and I think they're making Monopoly.
Yeah, I could see Monopoly.
Well, Monopoly makes total sense. It's just it's economic based movie. It's just kind of one of those. It's like, okay, how do you make this economics movie into a kids movie? It's kind of a crazy concept that game has actually become popular, and like somehow or another, people know what monopolies are. But they don't really care because they do care, but it's not that big a deal. You would think it's almost like a propaganda game. It's kind of ridiculous.
People only care about monopolies is when it affects them.
So let's keep going to another animal-based 3D movie trailer. Detective Pikachu has a second trailer, and that came out recently. And it looks basically the same, except it worse.
Mm-hmm. Pika Pika.
Pika Pika.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem here is that Ryan Reynolds is not playing Detective Pikachu. He's reading lines as Ryan Reynolds, which I like him as an actor, but you have to be a character. You can't just read lines.
Yeah. Well, he sounds like Deadpool, and you're expecting him to start swearing.
Yeah. The best voice actors, they could change their pitch or change their tone or make slightly different that you don't necessarily catch them, know it's them recording and, make it a character onto itself,
Oh, they just wanted Ryan Reynolds because he's so popular.
It just doesn't fit. And I still don't like these Pokemon, how they look on screen. I think they look terrible. I'm sorry.
And, Justice Smith looks fine. He's fine. What little we've seen him do, he's a character. He's responding, but it just. I was when Pokemon hit. I was too old for Pokemon when Pokemon came about.
Yeah.
So it was something I was never into. I was too old for it. But I didn't hate it. I was mostly the poor schlub who had to got stuck dragging the relatives' kids to do their Pokemon this and that because it's like, oh, you're a geek, and this is geek stuff we hate, so you go take them.
So I was in high school when the first one came out in the U.S., and it was a big deal. I mean, I knew people that were playing the game, but, by then I wasn't like, I want to buy a Game Boy. It's 1998, for God's sakes. Game Boy's been around since 89, so that's an old thing to have, and that's something you want to just carry around in your backpack in high school. And, I think I watched the anime, and I'm familiar enough with the characters and the idea, so I know enough about it, and I feel familiar enough about it, but I haven't really played any single game from beginning to end. I've played a little bit of the Yellow, which is like technically the third game in the series, but I know enough of the concepts here, and it's a real bold move to just use this Detective Pikachu as the launching point, because I think they already said that this is going to be the first, and then the next movie is actually going to be like a traditional Pokemon, gotta catch them all, go to different cities,
This kind of reminds me of kind of Archie's Weird Mysteries when they tried to make the Archie gang to be like Scooby-Doo.
So, this just looks bad, I think. It just doesn't. It really is hard to get into these character models of these creatures, and it's I'm not digging it. I'm not digging it at all. So I think it's going to make a ton of money, unfortunately, and we're going to have a lot of these movies, but I'm not digging this.
Yeah, this trailer did not make me want to watch them all. That's for sure.
So, from one kind of monster to another kind of animated monster, my segues are on point today. Talk about Hotel Transylvania 4.
Oh, God.
So, we both never watched the third one, right?
Yeah, I had a legitimate excuse. I was recovering from surgery. But who am I kidding? Even if I wasn't, I wouldn't have went to see this. 2 was enough for me.
Yeah. For Adam Sandler fare, I thought the first one was actually better than I expected it to be, and kind of fun. And the second one I thought was everything that it thought it was before, and it just did not work. And the third one, I was like, no, I hate this franchise now. I'm done. And I think I've heard that it's not as bad as the second one, but not as good as the first one. That I heard that's okay. It's not total terrible movie, but it made enough money to guarantee a fourth movie, and that's happening. So, yay.
And they didn't bother to even release it in 3D home video any place on the globe that I'm aware of.
Yeah, it kind of came really quickly to Netflix, I think. More quickly than other movies. I guess because Adam Sandler has to deal with them.
And Sandler's got to deal with Netflix.
So, yeah. More Hotel Transylvania 4. Alright, I don't have a segue for this, so just move on to Suicide Squad 2. We got quite a few things about this, where we will not have Will Smith reprise his role as Deadshot, and we will get Viola Davis as Amanda Waller come back for this. So, what are your thoughts on this so far?
Not surprised. Will Smith wouldn't. Now we've got James Gunn is definitely directing. That's been confirmed. He's not only scripting, he's directing. We have no idea who he's casting. We have no idea. So it could simply be that Will Smith might have decided, he's done. He wants to move on, or it could simply be a scheduling conflict, and so we don't know if Deadshot's going to be recast or just not going to be in it. We don't even know if Harley Quinn is going to be in it or the Joker. Jared Leto's Joker movie's been canceled. So, these days Warner Brothers seems to be announcing tons of stuff, and 90% of it seems to be canceled a year later. So,
what do you think of Will Smith as Deadshot in the original Suicide Squad?
I thought he was fine. He's got the snark and the attitude, and he seemed to be funny, and he was also calm and cool and collected. What a sniper type character would be. So, I thought he was fine.
Yeah, I actually really liked him in that movie. That was one of the highlights, I think, because they actually developed the character and really got a sense of who he was, why he did what he did, and how good he was at it. And he got a scene with the daughter, and in a way, it kind of, if they don't bring him back, I'm fine with it. The thing with the Suicide Squad, it's just kind of like the Guardians, where don't have to have the same characters. They can switch them up and move around, and
the comics they were like Mission Impossible. It was like a different team every mission.
So it's
during the TV version of Mission Impossible, for those that are too young who might only think of the Tom Cruise film franchise. It was a TV show first.
Now, what do you think of Amanda Waller as what was her name? Yeah, Amanda Waller, or Viola Davis as Amanda Waller.
She was good.
Oh yeah, I loved her in this.
She was the best Amanda Waller yet. There's been several actresses who've played her, and they just didn't get her ruthlessness and her strength.
Yeah.
Because in the man, she even makes Batman kowtow to her.
Yeah, I really love her in this movie too. And it's, a lot of people really crap on Suicide Squad, but Amanda Waller and Will Smith were both really good in this, and really fit the characters and everything that was working on this. It has problems. I'm not going to deny that.
Oh, yeah, it has problems, but I thought what it had going for it, outweighed the problems. I mean, to me, it was pretty much a jam. It was a kind of a crossover. It was half 1984's Ghostbusters and half the '60s war film Kelly's Heroes, which makes sense because David Ayers, who directed it, is a big fan of Kelly's Heroes.
So, I'm totally in favor of that. That's a great decision to have Amanda Waller back in this and have Viola Davis come back as this. That's totally great. I 100% favor that.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
now, I'm wondering who James Gunn, which characters he picked for his squad. I mean, I'm just chomping at the bit, wanting to know.
Yeah, because
excited to see.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they're going to redo this. If they're going to, it said it's like a soft reboot, but it's kind of hard because the first one made enough money to, it wasn't like a huge hit, but it wasn't a big flop either. So, you want to continue some of it, but of course, the DC extended universe is a mess and I don't think going to get fixed. So, you can't just attach it to that, but at the same time, you do want to build on where you've gone. You can't just completely restart it as a second movie. And I don't know, it's one of those weird things where, you can respect what the first movie did. If they want to do like a quick intro of like highlighting things in the first movie and then changing things, I don't know how they're going to do it. But, I think they could definitely not scrap everything that was in the first one and then, make this its own thing as well.
We'll see. I mean, James Gunn just seems to be born to do these type of ensemble, big budget superhero movies. So I think, it's in good hands. So let's just hope the suits don't mess with him too much and do what they did to Josh Whedon on Age of Ultron and Justice League.
And obviously some of the characters died. So we don't really need, who cares? If, I really don't want like the...
I think they should put a bunch of cannon fodder like Magpie and, characters that, hell, some of them are so bad if they got killed, the audience would stand up and cheer.
Yeah.
Kind of mistakes. But hey, they may want to keep this a PG-13.
Yeah, it's you want to get some of the lower level characters. You don't want to have characters that are going to survive because they're so likable.
Yeah, get your bronze tigers in there and your magpies and your the ventriloquists, the toy maker.
So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that works. And like you said, we don't know for sure if Harley Quinn is going to be here because she has her own movie, which is the Birds of Prey. I think it is, right?
Which is kind of weird because she's not in the Birds of Prey comic. She was in the Gotham Sirens comic. So that'll be interesting to see what they do with that.
So let's keep going here. Let's talk about Pirates. The Pirates of the Caribbean. And it looks like that ship has sank for good. We're not likely to have another movie in this franchise with or without Johnny Depp. I think Disney is done. Do you get more information on this story?
No, there was talk that they were going to go with the character Red, who they were kind of working into the ride, but I think they just figured the pirate craze is kind of faded, and right now there just seems to be no pirates are just for hanging out at Mardi Gras now and Gasparilla, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it just, they kind of came, and then the first one was a huge hit, and like the first one, it was kind of weird because people forget that Johnny Depp was nominated for Academy Award for his performance.
Yeah.
And, the sequels came like almost every other year, right off the bat. It was pretty quick to get all the sequels. And then.
Yeah, and this one wasn't too bad, and then they got silly.
So, yeah, I mean, the last one didn't make that much money, and it's fine if they just want to give this like a 10-year break and then reboot it again and just start over, or, just move on. That's fine too.
Yeah, and Disney might have just, this is something I kind of point out to people when Hollywood starts consolidating to fewer and fewer studios. They're going to want their properties to make more and more money. So they might have decided this is no longer a $1 billion guaranteed movie per movie franchise. They might have just decided we're just going to ditch this and concentrate on seeing if we can make some of these other franchises $1 billion per movie franchises for us. And you're probably going to see Disney canceling more and more stuff as, they own more and more of Hollywood.
It's just a matter of, like you said, business and figuring out what works and what doesn't work.
And of course, I'm sure all this crap between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard is playing a small part into it. I just want to acknowledge it. I don't want to really get into it. I mean, to tell you the truth, who knows? I don't really care. I hate to be that callous, but when I have no insider information, and this is so unpleasant, I feel embarrassed hearing any of it. I try to avoid it, and I think it's going to get a lot nastier before it goes away, and it's a damn shame. And it's probably going to end up affecting Aquaman too.
So the last movie, Dead Men Tell No Tales, came out 2017, which I feel like it was that long ago, but
Mm-hmm.
that budget was around 230, and then if you add another 100 million for marketing, that's around, let's just say 400 million. It made back 794, so it made basically double budget with marketing, which is pretty good. But I mean, considering that the other ones have made $1 billion, each,
Mm-hmm.
it is a low grossing movie, and I mean, it's not terrible by any means. It's just maybe they're wanting more, So
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I never really got into these movies. So I don't care.
Okay.
So let's keep going here. We got a sequel to Edge of Tomorrow, which I didn't know was a 3D movie. I think that movie came out and then it kind of was a flop for me with different people. Like I never heard people talk about it until after it came out on DVD and Blu-ray. And then I finally got around to watching it, and I liked it. It's like a Groundhog Day, but action movie. I just kind of felt like it dragged on, and just like, all right, I get the point. Move on.
Based on a great manga, All You Need Is Kill. They changed it up, of course. It really put Emily Blunt on my radar. I mean, I think she stole the movie out from underneath Tom Cruise, and I mean, he's not my favorite actor, but he is a decent actor, and he's very charismatic, and he can hold attention. So anybody you can like walk away with a movie from Tom Cruise, there's something. I thought the 3D in it was great. It also put Doug Liman as a director really on my radar big time. So I'm intrigued to see where they go with it. Edge of Tomorrow, most people call it Live, Die, Repeat. Most people, because that was the tagline, and most people thought that was the name of the movie. So if you call it Edge of Tomorrow, they look at you like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I think in some countries they even called it All You Need Is Kill, which is the name of the source material.
So
So I wouldn't be surprised if it's Live Die Repeat is the name of the sequel, or Live Die Repeat 2 or whatever.
So the box office on that movie was $370 million worldwide, and it made $100 million in the U.S. So 270 foreign, and it cost about 178 to make, and with marketing at another 100, give or take. So it made a profit, but not a huge amount of profit.
It did really well on home video and streaming. It's one of those movies, it took a while to find its audience, but it did. So that's why I think a sequel's happening. And also, Emily Blunt is a big thing now.
So how do you make a sequel to that story? It's a different point of view, or that cycle repeats, or what?
Who knows? I mean, I hope they decide to go, oh, we already did the Groundhog Day thing, so we're gonna do something else. That I don't think will fly. But I mean, hey, Donnie Darko found a new way to twist Groundhog Day, and Happy Death Day, and its sequel found 2 ways to do a twist on Groundhog Day. So we'll see. I mean, I'm intrigued enough to check it out myself, so I'm interested.
Now, you're willing to see this movie,
Uh-huh.
willing to view and master the whole environment, and view this movie again through a Viewmaster. Our next movie you're talking about. Terrible segue, sorry.
Oh God. Oh God. A Viewmaster movie.
All right.
Oh God.
What is this thing for anyone to know?
Okay, a Viewmaster is a little device that came in a little wheel, and you would put the Viewmaster wheel into a little device that you put up to your eyes, and then you click this little button on the side, and it would move. And most of the pictures were in 3D. In fact, you could get cameras, and you could take your own photos and make your own Viewmasters reels, which is something I did in the 80s for fun. Of course, mine were not the G-rated material that most people put in Viewmaster reels. In fact, there was quite a thing of people making kind of R-rated and harder private Viewmaster reels that they swapped with each other in the early days of the internet.
So, yeah, like you said, it was kind of marketed as a toy for kids, but I mean, it was easy enough that anyone could use, and it wasn't really...
And and a lot of the reels were educational. They were like travel. The original Viewmaster reels were pretty much, travel things. You could see like the Great Wall of China, and the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Eiffel Tower. Then they started marketing TV shows, and this is way before home video was even an idea, and even before VCRs or any of that stuff. So kids, this would be the only way you could like have a copy you could go back and revisit your favorite TV show. Because when I was little, I really liked the Batman 66 TV show, and I watched it religiously in reruns, and I had Viewmaster reels of certain episodes, because they didn't put out everything, and comic book characters, and they were fairy book characters. I mean, it was a fun little device that sort of nowadays doesn't really serve a purpose anymore, because we have home video, we have stream, we have so many ways to get better copies of this data.
So the original ViewMaster was introduced in 1962. The actual creator recently passed away. We talked about that in the last show, I believe. And it's a very simple device. It's like you get like a little binoculars that you put on over your head, and you get to see things. I remember this was like you said, a great educational tool, a great travel tool. It was fun for kids, but adults liked it too because you really didn't have to do a whole lot of setup. You didn't need. I don't think it needed batteries even.
No, and it was perfect on a road trip. So instead of going, "Are we there yet?" Parents just shoved the ViewMaster. Said, "Here's some reels. Keep yourself occupied."
And it used very basic, ancient stereoscopic 3D idea and lets you see it, and it's really easy to see the 3D and how the technology worked. It was like originally like 100 years ago technology, but they managed to make it work to be cheap, to be something that you could buy things for. I remember a whole lot of different animal ViewMaster things, like, oh, this is a crocodile in 3D. Oh, this is a giraffe in 3D. It's easier to see a ViewMaster and get a reel from that than to go to the zoo.
Mm-hmm. And there's still a little of them still around. I mean, the 3D Archive put out a private reel for one of their Kickstarters for September Storm. So, I mean, they're still around. They're still out there. In fact, they even did their own kind of generic version of a ViewMaster player.
So they're making a movie out of this. That's how do you do that?
And what audience? I mean, very few people under the age of 40 are that familiar with the ViewMaster. You'll find some people in their 30s. Are they thinking there's enough 30-year-old parents who are going to drag their kids to see a ViewMaster movie? I mean, I could see a documentary about ViewMasters because it's an interesting subject, but
yeah,
I mean,
how do you do this in either live action or animated? I don't see how you make this into a story. It's not a documentary. I mean, is this like are the ViewMasters going to come alive and become like a horror movie or something?
What it's going to be is little shy kid loses themselves in a ViewMaster world and learns to be learns to conform to society and becomes happy. It's basically going to be Wonder Park, but with a ViewMaster.
Now, some of this stuff has kind of regenerated recently with like VR viewers. You put your phone in there, and then you get the VR viewer app, and then you buy the contraption, and then it works in a similar kind of way. To have like VR. It's basically a new version of the ViewMaster, but I don't see how to really make this into a story. I mean, it's one thing. The 3D has to be a big part of this movie because you're basically going to be like, if they don't have it in 3D and 3D isn't great, it's such a missed opportunity. It's such an obvious thing,
Yeah, I think we're going to see the Gambit movie before we see this ViewMaster movie.
So, I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, I would love a documentary, like a full-on, serious documentary on this, and then maybe release it on a ViewMaster. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't see how you could really make this into an actual movie that works. That's not corny and stupid.
Mm.
It could be like, the horror movie element is the only thing you could think of where, the ViewMaster is haunted by a spirit of the past and, it's going to make you see in 2D only. or something stupid like that. That's just like, okay. I don't know.
Kind of like My Left Eye Sees Ghosts.
Yeah. What was that one with the girl in the well?
The Ring.
Yeah, like The Ring, where acceptance of you, master. All right, so we did get some information on Netflix Defenders TV shows, and do you want to just go ahead and call it?
Yeah, it's dead.
Yeah. So we kind of figured this a while ago that once they release the last season of the next show, that's going to be it. And we got confirmation about that, where once the season 3 of Jessica Jones comes out, that's going to be it. We're not going to have any more of these Defenders TV shows on Netflix. And it was kind of hazy because Punisher was not part of that original deal, but Punisher is now actually going to be part of that, where they're not going to have a second movie or third season of that. So after the third season of Jessica Jones, that's it. Now they haven't decided yet, Disney, where they're gonna if they're gonna put it on their streaming services or gonna put it on Hulu. Which is another story. We'll go ahead and kind of combine that story into this. That Hulu or Disney's trying to buy out the rest of the shares of Hulu and become like not just a majority owner, but like a super majority owner, right?
Mm-hmm. And Universal probably won't, and Paramount, I think they each have a little part. They probably won't sell, but they've put an offer out to Warner Brothers. And if I was Warner's, I would just sell it to them. I mean, I would get out of the Hulu business and concentrate on their own streaming service.
The DC one, you mean?
And a Warner Brothers one. They should do they have a great back catalog.
So, yeah, that's interesting because there is a current deal with Netflix and CW for all those shows to go on to Netflix like 2 weeks later. And it's kind of weird because if you get the DC app, you can have their streaming shows, which is Doom Patrol and Teen Titans or whatever.
Yeah, and Young Justice.
And, if they would have had the CW shows in there commercial free as an option, I think I would have joined it. But I don't really want another version of that,
Right now, Warner Brothers pulled CW content off of Hulu.
Yeah, it was on there.
Is they have it on an app. It's a free app, and you can watch stuff. I think it stays on there for 4 or 5 weeks after it aired, and you see it with limited commercials.
Yeah, and I have the app. It works fine. It's some of the commercials repeat, but it's fine. Not the greatest app, not a terrible app, but I mean, it's fine.
It beats watching it on your local station. That's for sure. It's a lot for ads, and you can watch it on your own schedule, not theirs.
So, how do you feel about the Defenders being dead?
After that miniseries, it's a mercy killing.
I mean, okay, not the Defenders, but overall, the Defenders, like Jessica.
It's sad because it was actually, overall, it was really good. And the chances are they're not going to be able to round up the gang again because usually contracts like this has clauses that they can't use this stuff for a couple of years at least. So probably by the time they get around to reusing these characters, possibly for Disney Plus, these actors are going to have either aged out of the roles or have moved on with their careers.
So yeah, now I haven't been 100% caught up with all these shows. Have you caught up with everything or no?
Yeah, it took me a while to catch. There's still a lot of Marvel stuff I haven't seen yet. Like I still got to catch up on Legion and The Gifted, which I wouldn't be surprised if those are canceled too. And I don't really think Netflix cares because it looks like they've got a massive hit with Umbrella Academy.
So it is unfortunate because they were, adult, kind of quote unquote adult rated, M or mature R rated, or with cussing and sex. I don't remember any actual nudity in any of the shows, but I didn't watch it all. But they definitely had.
Netflix doesn't really go. Well, they do and they don't.
But yeah, they don't. They have more mature adult themes overall, and I do like overall the shows. I just feel like they had so much bloat that it just kind of made it a turnoff to kind of the whole idea that you have to watch it the whole season in a weekend, because it just like you don't, if you watch it like a regular show like once a week, you just get bored because there's so much junk in there. I think that a lot of the shows really suffered with that. I think a lot of they started getting smart and getting like 7 and 8 episodes instead of 13, but I felt like a lot of the shows could have been a lot better.
Contract with Marvel. Marvel wanted 13 episodes,
but they didn't have. I for my opinion, I didn't think they had enough content to really make 13 episodes each season of each show. I felt like they just, a lot of stuff just kind of dragged, became boring.
Yeah, several of the series had filler, which is why Netflix wanted to. That's why The Punisher season 2 is like only 10 episodes. Umbrella Academy is short like that too. And Umbrella Academy is not a Marvel show, so don't add us. We know it's not a Marvel property, and we're talking about it because it's a comic book property that Netflix invested in.
Like some of the episodes are like 30 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes long. Like, you don't know how long each episode is going to be, and some of it really drags, and like some of it you could really get to the meat of the story in like 8 episodes, and like 3 of them were filler, and just like, come on, give me what I want. So I kind of feel like Jessica was a slow burn, but became really great, and like they could not really capture the second season as much as the first. I still liked it, but not as much. And Daredevil I really like, but I'm never a fan of Elektra. And Punisher was just so brutal. I liked it, but at the same time, it was just, it's hard to watch because how brutal it was, and Defenders was bad.
Yeah. I think part of that is because they just took the name and decided, oh, we can't actually adapt any of the Defenders comics because these aren't the actual Defenders, which sucked because there were several good Defenders storylines they could have adapted.
And they barely, if ever, connected to the MCU. I mean, it was just kind of like a nugget of, oh yeah, we know of that, or Avengers stuff, but we don't,
Oh, I blame Ike Perlman for that and his refusal to play nice with Kevin Feige.
Which apparently now they're going to fix in Disney Plus, and those TV shows will connect really well to MCU. So let's see how that works.
That's why I figure there's going to be this big, because there's going to be like a 10-month gap in Marvel movies, because we're going to have all these after Spider-Man. We're not going to have another movie for 10 months. So I figure that's the time period they're going to be really working on, unless they've got a secret movie we don't know about.
That's interesting because we're kind of assuming that after we get Endgame that we would get like the schedule of what the next phase is, because we don't really know what the schedule is after Spider-Man.
We don't know what's going to happen at San Diego this year or when the next D23 is. So is Marvel going to have this big show at San Diego and give us a big reveal like they did before? Or are they going to just give us a few movies? Or are they going to skip San Diego and do a thing with Disney? D23 or something? We don't know.
because like there's so many questions there with like, okay, what are going to get sequels? What are not going to get sequels? What are they? Are they going to go into the cosmic stuff now that they have it? With are they going to go into the Fox stuff now that they have it? Or are they going to just leave things alone? I think they could have a Fantastic Four movie in about 16 months. I think that's kind of doable.
Thing is, the paperwork hasn't been signed yet, and they still have to go through the approval process, and they're going to still have to sell off some of Fox's assets before the deal can go through completely. So the earliest I see anything getting announced is the end of next year for the Fox properties.
Yeah, that's fair enough. They could do like a movie in like 16, 18 months, so.
But if I'm wrong, you guys can make fun of me and embarrass me. You don't even have to wait till the year end. Look at our predictions. You can make fun of me earlier.
Because, like, I think leaving X-Men alone is probably best. Just to leave that alone. And just let that.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and it's like, and if you notice, we're not really talking about the New Mutants movie. That's probably going to wind up on Hulu, or it's going to wind up double feature with Gambit.
So yeah, it's just really up there what's happening with Hulu, which I like Hulu a lot. I've been part of Hulu for years, and I've liked their content. I like that. Does this mean that maybe Hulu will have well, there's some of their shows. I think they're on Hulu, right? The other MCU TV shows like Cloak and Dagger and Runaways. Will they better connect with Avengers? I don't know. We don't know. All that stuff is up in the air.
Yeah, we don't even know if it's going to be renewed. We don't know. Heck, we don't even know what's going on with the DC universe. It seems like the new regime is handling things almost as badly as the old regime. Only they're getting better results. I mean, Aquaman turned out to be a massive hit, bigger than anybody saw coming.
So, yeah. Before we get back to talking about Dark Phoenix, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I think we've just about covered it. Because everything else is still in rumor town, so I don't want to spread rumors.
Yeah, that's the thing with covering the entertainment business, is that we get a lot of rumors, a lot of hearsay, a lot of things that are just not true, and a lot of things that are like, speculation, and it just becomes unlimited amount of content, which is just junk,
Yeah.
It's hard to really make shows that are not full of theory, and I can appreciate theory to a degree, but it's just a matter of it can never end.
No, you want to make sure you were stating it's a theory or speculation, and not act like your opinion is fact.
Because, like, in theory, Doctor Strange would be a good movie to make a sequel for, Doctor Strange 2, but I don't think we got confirmation of that yet, and I don't know.
All there's been is Scott Derrickson saying a few things, but we have no idea if we have no idea if he's in talks, if he's scripting or what. So we don't have a lot of hard data. We just have people are putting 2 and 2 and trying to come up with 3.
Yeah, And if anything, it makes it look like more that I think Spider-Man part should have delayed Far From Home until the fall. That way you have more breathing room for Endgame, and that way, you're not waiting a huge amount of time for the next 2020 movie.
I know, but this is what happens when you have two studios who aren't in whose needs are different. And Sony probably didn't want to go up against Star Wars and Disney stuff coming out in the fall.
Now, like we talked about before, the Black Widow movie, if that was going to be R-rated, and now we got confirmation that it's not. So it's just like, okay, that was kind of a pointless discussion. I don't care if that one's R-rated or not. Is that going to be a 2020 movie? Maybe. We don't know. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, I don't think that's coming out for like 5 years.
Yeah, we can file that with Gambit at this point.
The Eternals, I mean, okay, that's an interesting franchise idea for a story, but that's such an out there concept.
They're just they are casting. That's the only hard evidence I've heard. And some guys were making a big deal out of they were looking for openly gay actors for certain parts.
So, we probably will get the Defenders on Hulu, maybe, probably. That's a good place to have them, but I don't think they're going to be...
There's been talk of some animated Marvel shows on Hulu. There was talk of, because what Patton Oswalt said, he was doing a voice for one.
Yeah.
But that's all I know. All I've heard is they're coming, but everything else is speculation and rumor. So I don't have any names and exact casts or anything. That's not a rumor or speculation.
Yeah, and like we don't even know. I think New Mutants is supposed to be August 2nd, which I don't think that's happening.
Yeah.
Joker. Oh, okay. Yeah, the fall is going to be a big thing for DC movies because we're supposed to get, Birds of Prey, the Joker movie, in that time frame somewhere. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening. Okay, so we got even more of episode 78 for you here. So we originally recorded this, and due to time of editing, some news stories fell through the cracks that we weren't able to talk about, and now we're going to talk about them now. Just a couple of little things. We're just going to add this into there. So, Jake, what is the first thing you want to talk about?
We all know Will Smith bowed out of Suicide Squad, but it looks like Deadshot still will remain. Rumor has it, and it's been confirmed by trade papers more or less, that Idris Elba is going to be taking over the role of Deadshot in the Suicide Squad follow-up, being written and directed by James Gunn.
Which is interesting because, like we said before, we don't really need him in this movie. They could just write him out and move on, but they figured that they need him in this movie for some reason. So I don't know if they're going to change the origins or, they already kind of said it's a kind of a soft reboot, but if you're going to be changing out characters, you might as well just forget the first one was made. But how do you do that,
Yeah. But I really like Idris Elba, so I mean I like Will Smith too, but I just hope I just hope they know that Idris Elba is not a quipper.
Yeah, I mean I do like him a lot, and
and he's done a lot of comic book movies, so he's and he's got pretty good comic timing sometimes. He was criminally unused in the Thor movies.
I was about to say that he really was just like barely there as Heimdall. And he was Heimdall's own interesting character, but he just wasn't given time.
Yeah, exactly.
So we also got some interesting VR news to talk about. Now, I've always say this to James, that I think VR is the future of 3D. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it seems once they figure out VR and if they don't get greedy and stupid, it could very well be the future. It's because it's definitely where Viewmaster's going and that sort of thing, and with space concerns and expense, yeah, VR most definitely is probably the smart route for 3D to go.
And Sony has been using VR with the PlayStation 4, and you'd be actually to go into like a virtual movie theater and watch a 3D movie that way. And apparently, I haven't tried it yet, but I heard that it really works well. And it's a way to have your own cinema-like experience, because being in the virtual reality world, that screen can be 1,000 stories tall, whatever.
Hmm.
And the optical illusion of VR is stereoscopic in that nature, that you have to have a 3D world, because if it's a flat 2D world, it doesn't work. So, how would you feel about Nintendo getting back into that VR market?
Awesome. More the merrier.
So, do you remember the last time Nintendo did this?
Not really.
Called the Virtual Boy. But we're not going to talk about the Virtual Boy. That's trash. It has red and black screen and gave everyone headaches, and it lasted like 6 months in the market. So it was basically, they released it, people didn't like it, and then they gave up on it right away. So Nintendo has this Labo for Nintendo Switch console, where you use cardboard, and the cardboard, you get to form it into different shapes and play games with that cardboard. And one of the first experiences they kind of showed off with that was a piano, and putting the controller in a certain area in the screen, and how it has like rubber bands and infrared sensors. It could actually make a piano like sound with different keys, and you have to like shape the cardboard into different things. What is it? How does that sound to you?
Sounds complicated.
It's mostly done for kids. They're really aiming it, because a lot of kids like the DIY, make your own kind of stuff. So, Labo was introduced last year, and it was a decent success, not a huge success. And they had a few games use it. Now, on April 12th, they're going to have a VR version of this. We can make like VR goggles and play VR games with the Switch. Now, the Switch has a screen. We could play it handheld, or we could play it on the TV, but the screen is only 720p. And what's the problem with that, Jake?
It's just not enough definition, because the nature of 3D, you're doubling up on stuff. So a 1080 is going to read like a 720. So basically, this is going to read like it's only 360. That's kind of rough in today's. Even with something like virtual reality, that's kind of shoved up to your eyeballs.
So yeah, it's a lot of VR kits are trying to do like double 4K, so you get 4K in each eye. Because you want to not lose any of that definition. You want to really get a good sense of how you are in there, and that's one of the things with VR, is that you really do need super high-end technology, or at least in theory, you should have super high-end technology to render the graphics in a realistic way. Now, the Nintendo Switch is a semi-powerful system, not as powerful as the Xbox One or the PlayStation 4, but it's, not a slouch either. But it's kind of one of those things where you can see why they're kind of aiming this for kids, because, the kids are not going to care about the fact the resolution is not super awesome, that the gameplay is going to be fairly basic. There's going to be different kinds of things where it's going to probably be really, really straightforward games, with, just like a shooter game, or like a bird game. There's like one with the elephant, like you're staring into the elephant and like you're using the trunk, as like a way to maneuver, and like the head of the elephant is where the goggles are. And there's like another one with like a bird, and so you're trying to like fly, I guess.
Sounds like they're marketing this to really little kids. The tween would be totally bored by this, and a tween would notice heck, a tween would probably notice the resolution difference more than even people our age and older, because they've grown up with high def. I mean, yeah, we grew up with crappy resolution. Now these little kids, they're like, "What's a DVD? What's a floppy disk?" So they've grown up with, you know, to them, 1080 is the baseline standard.
Yeah, I mean 720 might be the minimum they're used to, but yeah, they're used to 1080, and they'll probably be able to see 4K without that much effort. Where older people are like, okay, I can barely tell a difference there, unless you get like a 50-inch TV.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That it is little kids. I think the Labo has always been the kind of thing between like 8-year-olds and 12-year-olds kind of thing. So that way the kids like to make it, kind of how the Minecraft was, that they want to make their game, make their story. And all the DIY stuff is simple enough that you could do. I never bought any of these Labo kits before because I'm not in the age for that. And I find it interesting as like engineering and the science behind it, that the technology actually works. It's just not something for me. But I'm kind of curious about getting this, even though the resolution is going to be really bad. It's going to be very basic, I think.
Yeah, it does sound interesting. Not enough for me to go through the hassle of trying to invest in a Nintendo system, but it sounds like something to keep an eye out on and see where it goes.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think it's one of those things. It's like they were really embarrassed by the Virtual Boy, and the Virtual Boy was rough. It was a rough thing to play, because it was a black monitor with red lines that made the shapes. So your eyes are just seeing two colors, black and red. And I remember getting headaches playing the demo in Sears. It feels like forever ago, when Sears had video games, or when Sears even existed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, it's interesting that they're trying to get into this, and they're doing a totally different way of getting into this, because all the other VR stuff are really, really powerful machines that really make you immersive into that world. I have actually tried out PlayStation VR in the Best Buy, and it was really impressive. I really liked it. They had like this demo of you being in a shark cage, and like you're going down, and the shark is like attacking you, and you really get a good sense of depth, and you get a good sense of place, because you're in, if you look behind you, you see the cage, and the cage is all around you, but then you get to see the water, and then it's like an amusement park ride, because I think I forget exactly what happens, but it's a kind of a fun experience. It's not something that you're gonna want to do like 5 times a day or something. You might do this once or twice and be like, that's cool, but that's a totally different thing of VR. But VR might be the future of 3D. A lot of contracts are ending pretty soon for 3D movies. You said 2020, right?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the real 3D contracts are ending in 2020.
So it might be the only way to be able to see, these things. And, Sony would be smart to, have the theatrical 3D movies, in their PlayStation VR, theater. That would be a kind of a smart kind of synergy there where you could, see or pay for, theoretically speaking, Venom 2, see it in PSVR, in 3D a week before release or something. That could be something that'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course there's also the holy grail of some people trying to figure out the glasses-free 3D, kind of like how they do anaglyphic, how they used to do 3D photographic prints. Some people call them the wiggle prints, which you could view the 3D without any glasses whatsoever.
So Cinemark does have a 3D agreement until 2022.
Okay, so then 3D got a bigger reprieve because Regal's is up because we'll see what Regal does. Regal might be doing their 3D screenings the way they're doing them is to actually see if it's financially viable for them to renew it. And they might be thinking about it because Cinemark still has theirs. And luckily I got two within a 100-mile round trip. I have access to Cinemark, so
it might still be a kind of thing where you only get to see the 3D version of a movie, the day of release or the weekend of release, and after that you're screwed, kind of thing.
Oh, it's almost that bad already. You're lucky if a 3D movie plays 2 weeks in 3D.
All right, is there anything else you want to mention or no?
I think we just about covered it, unless we want to go in more on Suicide Squad.
Sure, let's go into that a little bit more.
Okay. There's been reports of some of the characters that James Gunn is planning on putting in Suicide Squad. Characters like Ratcatcher, and there was talk of gender swapping this character. So seeing a woman, a Ratcatcher, could be interesting. I'm really intrigued by the Polka Dot Man. He's kind of one of those characters like Taserface. So, James Gunn would have a lot of fun with such a silly character.
So, what is Ratcatcher? Never heard of him.
Ratcatcher is basically an exterminator who's got a thing for poison gas. Kind of huffs it like paint thinner, and got their start kind of working as an exterminator in the tunnels of Gotham. Yeah, and Polka Dot Man is also another Batman villain.
I think on the Wikipedia it says Ratcatcher can control army of sewer rats as well, right?
Yeah, I think that's the reboot Ratcatcher. I don't really remember Ratcatcher being too much of a Pied Piper like character, but makes sense.
So Polka Dot Man can turn polka dots covering his costume into weapons?
Yep.
That's out there.
Mm-hmm. This character sounds right up James Gunn's alley. Polka Dot Man is one of those awesome, tacky characters. That is one I uh, cosplayed a long time ago in a gray jumpsuit where we painted dots on it.
So yeah, wow, that's going into the deep end of DC, of like, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm used to be Johnny DC deep dive. Of course, I'm hoping James Gunn gets to do one of his dream projects that he's always wanted to do for DC, the Metal Men.
And then you might as well go into the whole deep end and have Condiment King.
Yeah. I'm hoping he puts Magpie in the movie just so he could kill her off. She's got to be one of the worst Batman villains from the late 80s, early 90s. God.
So yeah, we're gonna have an Out There Suicide Squad 2 or reboot.
Yeah, it's looking like everybody's being replaced in Suicide Squad except Viola Davis and Margot Robbie. The characters are either going away or their actors are because like Joel Kinnaman, he's gone. So we don't know if his character's gonna not be there or be replaced with another actor playing the same character. But my guess is the character is gone. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get somebody, if we get a hero, an actual hero replacing him. Like Steel or Sergeant Steel or somebody. But we'll know soon enough, I guess.
That's interesting. Was there some kind of Black Adam news or something too?
Sort of. I don't know what's going on with Black Adam. I mean, it seems like if Black Adam isn't in the Shazam movie, that's a missed opportunity. But the fact that Dwayne Johnson and Henry Cavill have the same manager who's negotiating with DC, there's been stories that she's holding Dwayne Johnson's participation in the DC universe with Henry Cavill's participation as Superman. So who knows? At this point, Black Adam looks like we could file it with Gambit.
Because that one has been announced before Shazam was announced.
Yeah, it's been like, 4 or 5 years now?
And apparently the newer rumors are that Stargirl and Atom Smasher, which are both Justice Society of America, and Hawkman are going to be in this movie. So they're going to, is like a old version of Justice League, going to be going after Black Adam.
The whole DC universe is such a mess that they really, to quote Jack Nicholson's Joker, this series needs an enema. And Flashpoint may be where they have to go because something's going on with Flash because Ezra Miller is still attached to it. He says they're still working on it. And
yeah, but he's also working on Fantastic Beasts, which did get delayed, by the way. That's actually another interesting thing. The third one got delayed, which is fine. Maybe the Fantastic Beasts will get more time to really develop a script and try to clean things up, because
I just think Rawlings probably should get not a script doctor, but a writing partner, someone to kind of guide her a little bit with outlines and stuff, because it's fine, but I think they want to take it to the next level, especially with what the movies cost to make and what ticket prices are. They want to an audience to be excited, enthused, not like, oh, that was fun.
Yeah, I think we're the only people that really like that movie. I think most people did not like the second Fantastic Beasts movie, so
Most people hated the first one too. They just thought I was on drugs or something, liking it. But again, Harry Potter movies, I think, are lackluster, especially the later ones, and the Columbus ones, and the Chris Columbus ones. I think the third one was the best.
so yeah, Dune is going to be taking the spot for Fantastic Beasts 3. So Dune is coming out November 20th, 2020, which
I'm happy.
why are you happy about that?
Okay, my mother didn't read me and my brother nursery rhymes. Yeah, she read us Dune.
Which is based on a 1965 novel by the same name by Frank Herbert.
Mm-hmm. And where we live, she didn't have access. We didn't have access to a lot of stuff living in the Middle East, and so, and of all the books she had, this was the most age appropriate for us. So she read it to us when we were little.
And then the original Dune came out not that long ago, right? No, it's like 2000?
80s. Well, the original Dune was directed by David Lynch. Came out in the 80s.
Oh, 84. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, with Kyle MacLachlan and Sting and let me think who else is Patrick Stewart is in it. It's basically a world that they fight over control of a drug called spice, and of course water is the most important, precious, because Dune is a desert planet. I mean, when you die, they recycle your water. They just pretty much just burn you and drip you in your water and recycle it into this. And you live in these suits that keeps as much of your water in and recycled as humanly possible. And spice is a drug they use to see the future, travel great distances, fold, what they call it, folding space.
So it's like a big epic, right?
It's very epic, very long series, which I'm only familiar with the first few books.
Okay. So that's interesting to look forward to next year. We don't know if it's 3D or not yet, but I guess we'll assume that for now.
The early word I was hearing, it was 3D. But we're in the end game of 3D, so we'll find out what's going on. With Cinemark still having a contract to 2022, we've got more breathing room. So it's not like next year and it's done in theaters. We've got more years, seriously more years. So at least with us, with Cinemark. So
yeah, I think most of DC, most of Warner Brothers movies lately have been in 3D, right? All the DC ones have been.
Warner Brothers is a big proponent of 3D. In fact, they still release discs domestically in 3D. Not all their movies, but many of them.
So, yeah, that's just the bonus section. So this is going to be a huge podcast, and just make sure to stay around after the credits to get our Phoenix spoilerific talk.
Yeah, more what the fox.
All right, that's it for us again. Bye.
Bye.
All right, before this podcast ends, I want to give a thank you to my patrons. Right now, we have one patron, which is David from Spain, and I want to thank you for your financial support. All right, so that's going to be it for this podcast.
We now have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.
And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, a little bit everywhere. Just look for us, 3D or 2D. And of course, review us on iTunes. And if you want to write us a letter, our email address is email3d or2d@gmail.com. So that's going to be it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Warning, this podcast contains spoilers.
All right, so we're back. So in this trailer, you look at it, the first time I saw it, I didn't really think of it, but you see the death of a major character, which is that of Mystique.
Yep.
And you sent me an article from Entertainment Weekly where they have an interview, and the interview, they're like, oh yeah, the director, so why'd you decide to kill off Mystique? And like, the URL for the website for EW, the interview, that one actually has in there, the death of Mystique, but then in the top of the, banner headline for it, it says spoiler. So just like, okay, you're spoiling this huge element of the story a couple months before it comes out, And he said there's going to be other deaths in the movie, and there's going to be stakes, and we already kind of knew that Lawrence was not really happy playing Mystique anymore, but to really kind of show that in the trailer, I think is a big mistake.
Well, it just shows you they think they got nothing. I mean, and the fact that this is the third release. This is the third release date for this movie.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just a remake of the worst X-Men movie ever, Last Stand.
It has just a sense of desperation that they're willing to kill off a major character in a trailer and then show that off months before release. That's just kind of desperate that they want attention. They want people to talk about it on the websites and, news articles, and, they want the attention for this movie, and they're going to ruin the movie to get it. And that's just really bad.
I feel like I've already seen this movie. And it's like, if you've seen X3, you've already seen this movie.
Yeah, I don't know who that female character that's talking to Phoenix is. That's like enticing her.
That looks like that's Jessica Chastain in a very horrible wig. I figure that's either I would say it's a combination of Warbird and Deathbird. She's one of the. Oh God, I'm trying to remember the group. It's one of the characters from one of the planets, that Phoenix. And they want to. It's probably one element from the Dark Phoenix comic that they're actually using. It looks like they're combining two characters, and they're trying to get a whole control of Phoenix power for their own superhero group to use throughout the galaxy. I mean, that's my speculation on this. I don't have any insider knowledge other than having read the original comics. So that's what I'm speculating it is, based on the evidence I saw in this trailer, which may or may not be accurate. Your mileage may vary.
And this trailer, it does seem like half the people are in favor of trying to kill the Phoenix, and half of them are like, I don't know, we can reform her. And it looks like toward the end, Xavier and Magneto are like going to jail or something, and they have to work together to try to kill her, which is kind of neat, I guess.
Civil War 2.
Yeah.
On a CW budget.
It's like a train going up in the air, which I never knew Phoenix
had effect, but I was like going, I thought Ron Howard did that cooler in Solo.
It's like, I didn't think Phoenix had magnetic powers, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, this bears any resemblance. They should put a disclaimer. Any resemblance between the Chris Claremont and John Byrne series is purely coincidental.
Because I always kind of thought the Phoenix was just like a super radioactive kind of creature that could fly and like send out plasma out of her hands and stuff like that. Like, I didn't think anything, was with actual, magnetism.
Well, she has like telekinesis and stuff like that, and they've messed up the whole Phoenix. When they had Namor the Submariner become part of the Phoenix, I'm like, I'm done. I'm out of here. This is nonsense. He's not even a
It's supposed to be like the Phoenix is like a creature from the space.
Mhm.
It's like the X-Men go to space, and then the
Mhm.
Phoenix,
It's attracted to telepaths.
and which that part of Apocalypse was never really. They kind of mentioned the Phoenix, and that's how basically she killed off Apocalypse, was using her Phoenix powers. But it's like, okay, how did she? Was that always part of her? Was that that's kind of that's part of the reason why I think Apocalypse kind of fell apart, because it didn't make sense. you know.
And the Umbrella Academy comic and the series, to a lesser degree, adapts, does their own spin and kind of commentary about the whole Dark Phoenix story. And in that little Netflix show, they had a better and more realistic outcome of what it would be like than the two film adaptations that have been of the Dark Phoenix. Just it just hurts my soul and makes me sad.
Yeah, because like X Men 3, that it was a bad kind of fun movie, but it was a bad movie, and it had a good core. Like,
I would rather watch Wolverine Origins again than see X3.
I think I kind of laughed at it.
I walked out of X3 in the theater.
Wow.
Yeah, when Mystique loses her powers and then Magneto just shuns her, I just screamed, "This is bullshit!" and walked out.
Uh, and like,
Years later, I finally saw it on disc because I could go see an X. If I paid $5 for this disc, I could see an X. It had a ticket in it to buy. I could go see what it was, the Wolverine for free.
oh yeah.
So I was like, what the hell? I'm ahead of the game, and I have a drink. At the worst, I have a drink coaster.
And like the core idea of a cure, I really like that idea of X-Men 3. I thought that was interesting, but they didn't really work with it. And then I liked Fraser, not Fraser, but Kelsey Grammer as Beast.
Yeah,
I thought that was an inspired choice for the character,
Huh?
And it just kind of ruined it, and then it just didn't work. And I think everyone had a bad taste in their mouth from Phoenix, and then when they heard, oh, Phoenix didn't come back, it's like, no, we already got this. Maybe they'll do good. No, they're not doing good in this. It just looks bad. It looks stupid.
It looks like Simon Kinberg is going to kill his directing career with his first. Yeah, he wrote X3, but he's written and produced so many great movies. People forget this story is something he should just stay away from. Didn't he learn his lesson with X3? I mean, I know that movie was troubled because Brian's accused
That was when Bryan Singer left to do Superman Returns, right?
that was the movie. He was doing that and Superman Returns at the same time, and so we wound up with two crappy superhero movies. Because as bad as X3 is, Superman Returns is even worse.
Returns is just kind of boring. I don't think it's a terrible movie. It's just kind of slow and boring. It doesn't do anything, It doesn't feel like its own movie, too. It feels like a sequel of Superman 3 or 2,
It felt like, it was a sequel with everybody recast. It felt like I was watching a sequel to a movie that didn't really exist.
So, back to Dark Phoenix. I just, it's sad because I do like, Xavier and Magneto. And it, so there's going to be other deaths. There was a really cool slow motion kind of scene here with what is it? The silver, the speedster. I forget the name of him.
Silver.
Yeah. So I guess he's gonna die, which I feel like they've made fun scenes with him, but they made him incredibly overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like beyond Flash power in these movies.
Yeah,
like,
what's funny is they never did anything with him in Marvel Comics. Except they never showed him with his speed. He was always like, you don't date my sister, and, that kind of crap, and I hate you, Magneto. I mean, he was never really portrayed. And Crystal, why Crystal, his wife? Why? I mean, so he's always much better in the movies so far.
But they always had like one kick-ass scene with him, and then that was it. Like he just disappeared from the rest of the movie and was useless. It's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's coming out in June. I think it's gonna flop. I think Fox is done with it. I think like you said before, I think they're not gonna touch a Dark Phoenix movie for a long time after this again, because if they're gonna have
I mean, everybody thought Venom was gonna flop.
Who knows? Yeah, you might be right. It might do well, but I just kind of feel like
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was going to be awful. I mean, everybody just knew it in their heart of hearts that was going to be like the worst, and it turned out to be probably the best Spider-Man movie ever made. So there's always hope. I mean, but it's not. But the evidence they're presenting does not look good.
It is not. It does not look good at all. I mean, are they trying to like make this the last X-Men movie? Because it feels like they know they're not going to get another chance at this. So are they going to just like, all right, let's kill these people, and then who cares if Magneto
destroy the whole universe? Yeah, Dark Phoenix wins and destroys the whole universe.
That would be a fitting way to end the X-Men atrocity that is the film series, timeline.
Yeah, exactly. And then she takes out Bryan Singer at the end.
Because this was supposed to set in the 90s, and like they don't even mention the 90s anymore. Remember how each movie was like specific time period, and now they just gave up on that? Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what the fox? What the fox?
Whatever happened to Jubilee? Remember she was going to be in the other movie? And nope.
Oh, she's in the Gambit movie now.
And then they're going to have Taylor Swift be Sparkle or whatever.
Yeah, oh, she's hanging out with Gambit now.
Oh, these X-Men movies. I love half of them. I hate half of them.
Yeah, they're becoming like Star Trek movies.
Yeah, the even number ones and the odd numbered ones. I mean, we got Logan was awesome, and then Deadpool 2 was disappointing. So, maybe this will be good, and then, I don't know.
We'll find out. Yeah, we're your critics, so we're obligated.
Yeah, when you said about the 3D, that got really concerning me, because it's like, is this going to be a rush job that they just threw it at the end? Is this going to look terrible because it is a quick conversion? We shall see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, we shall see.
Yeah, this is we have in the business required viewings. Movies that are going to be something that are going to get clicks, movies that are going to get interest. That we have to see. Because you'll be a very bad journalist and very bad website if you don't review these movies. This is going to be one of those movies,
Yeah, I don't think we can escape this like we did Hotel Transylvania.
Yeah, it's I think that was a relative hit. It's enough to make a sequel. But like Wonder Park, I don't think anyone's going to cry if you don't have that review up,
Yeah, I don't think so.
But, people are going to definitely want a Dumbo review, so
Are you now trying to make me see Dumbo?
No. I'm just saying. That's
Yeah.
something that is a required view for me.
Yeah.
All the Marvel movies are definitely required. And all the DC ones, unfortunately. So, that's we're gonna see this. We're gonna try to keep an open mind and try to just cleanse our head of everything, and hopefully it surprises us. Like you said, maybe it could. We don't know. Maybe everyone. It might be one of those things where you like it and I don't like it, like Venom.
Yeah.
Maybe it's so ridiculous it's awesome, kind of like Jurassic World movies.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a bad movie. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it for us for sure. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Before this podcast ends, I want to give a thank you to my patrons. Right now, we have one patron, which is David from Spain, and I want to thank you for your financial support. All right. So that's going to be it for this podcast.
We now have a Patreon, and the link is in the description. Thanks for watching.
And we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, a little bit everywhere. Just look for us, 3D or 2D. And of course, review us on iTunes. And if you want to write us a letter, our email address is email3dortwo d@gmail.com. So that's going to be it. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone.